Hey people, John here from Fast Films, and today we're going to go through a 2021 horror comedy movie called Brain Freeze. The movie starts with a hazmat suit wearing crew that dusts the dark landscape with a bright green crystalline substance. The particular fertilizer will allow the rich folks to golf year round on Peacock Island, a wealthy remote area where there exist two classes: those who can afford to live in such a safe place and those who work for the rich folks. Dan, a security guard and wannabe survivalist, roams around Peacock Island and finds a rich kid named Andre, riding recklessly without being concerned about road safety. Dan is a devoted listener of a radio show hosted by Patrick Nault, who talks about the devastation the rich people have caused to nature by using the fertilizer for melting the snow and growing grass to carry out their luxurious activity of playing golf. In the next scene, Andre returns home where his housemaid, Camilla, is looking after his babysitter named Annie. Meanwhile, Dan, after work, calls his daughter named Pat, who tells him that she won't be able to have dinner with him tonight. So Dan leaves the island that is connected to the mainland by a single bridge and returns to his home. Right after that, Camilla is about to leave as she asks Andre to take care of Annie, as the mother hasn't returned home yet. Andre is not good with kids. However, he agrees to look after Annie. Dan is shown spending time by himself at his home. Meanwhile, Andre tries to calm down his crying sister, and soon their workaholic mother, Josie, comes back home. Pat also shows up at midnight and finds Dan, who has already fallen asleep. The next morning, Dan attempts to ask Pat about the guy she's in love with. However, Pat doesn't reveal his name and tries to change the subject. Andre's mother leaves for work early in the morning and asks him to take care of his sister. Later, when Camilla takes a long time to show up, Andre misses his school, looking after Annie the whole day. Dan drops Pat off to her workplace and asks if she can have lunch with him today, but Pat seems to have a busy day. Dan sees the area that has been cleared for the exclusive golf club and is disappointed to see nature being harmed by the rich people. Up next, a rich couple, Marcel and Maud, along with their dog Ruby, arrive at the golf clubhouse and meet their organizer named Michael, who tells them about their arrangement he and his team has made for them to play golf. Being at home with his sister, Andre has to do things he doesn't know. He looks for a video on YouTube to undo Annie's diaper. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Pat works for the rich community that has cleared the snowy area to play golf. As Marcel hits the ball with the club, it awakens a green substance under the ground. Right after that, a rich man, Jacques, is shown drinking a glass of water, and later as he returns home, he notices his teeth turning green. Just after that, he turns into a zombie and attacks his wife, Amanda, who after being infected also turns into a zombie. When Maud and Marcel return to the clubhouse with Michael, they notice the turned members pursuing their prey. Having no idea what's going on while the trio stands outside the clubhouse, a turned Ruby attacks Maud. Marcel and Michael attempt to get Ruby off her, but as they see the turned members approaching them, they quickly get inside the clubhouse and lock themselves up. However, Ruby follows them inside and bites Marcel, who soon becomes a zombie. Michael escapes in the kitchen as soon as Marcel attempts to attack him. Meanwhile, Josie returns home after a long day at work. Dan is called up by Jacques' neighbor, who has heard the couple screaming at the top of their voices. The neighbor is also shown being infected by the water she drinks as her teeth turn green. As soon as Dan approaches Jacques' home, he sees the zombified couple at their door. In the meantime, the neighbor turns into a zombie and rushes towards Dan to attack him. However, he quickly saves himself by getting into his car, and then he calls a police station. Soon, a lot of zombified members of the rich community gather around his car to attack him. In the next scene, Josie, after taking her drink prepared with the infected water, transforms into a zombie and attempts to attack Andre, who rushes outside. Meanwhile, Dan accidentally hits Josie, who is following Andre outside the house. Dan asks Andre not to go near his mother, still clueless about what's happening to everyone around. In the meantime, the police arrive at the gate of the rich community and encounter the zombified people. Right after that, as Andre finds the zombified neighbors approaching, he drags Josie with broken bones into the house and locks up all the doors. Before Josie tries to attack her little daughter, Andre locks her up in the bathroom. Right after that, Dan is finally able to contact Pat, who tells him that she is hiding in the cart garage. He asks him to stay put as he's coming to take her home soon. As he arrives at the cart garage, he eliminates a few zombified men and gets inside the garage quickly. In the next scene, Annie follows Andre into the bathroom, and before she gets attacked by her mother, Andre lures Josie with greens, bringing her to the lounge where she accidentally loses her life. Andre places her body back in the bathroom and prepares to leave the house with Annie. He lures the zombified people outside his house with his cat, and in the meantime, he escapes. He takes refuge in the supermarket after being chased by the zombies. He finds Dan, who has locked up his zombified daughter, hoping she might get better after things get back to normal. Meanwhile, Michael calls the police, who assure him that they will soon arrive at the clubhouse. Dan listens to Patrick Nault, who speculates that the current situation is a virus outbreak and the area needs to be quarantined to save the disinfected people. Patrick then talks to the Minister of Public Security, who says that the rescue team will not be sent to the island unless they find out the cause of the virus. The government fears that the infected people of the island will spread the virus to the disinfected people outside the island. This frustrates Dan and Andre, and so Dan calls the radio show to let Patrick know that there are survivors on the island who want to escape as soon as possible. However, Patrick leaves Dan disappointed as he suspects the whole community on the island is infected and it will be risky to help them. After that, Dan speculates that the cause of the outbreak is water, as it is the only thing that can infect people at the same time. Andre somewhat agrees as he realizes that he has remained disinfected because he hasn't been drinking water much. The next morning, they decide to leave the supermarket and go in search of the cause of the outbreak and find a vaccine to treat the infected people. Meanwhile, the protocol sent by the golf clubhouse enters the island and eliminates a few zombified people on their way. Patrick gets a call from Camilla, who tells him that he needs to stop terrifying the people on the island, as they need help and there might be many survivors on the island. However, Patrick remains unconcerned and frigid towards the rich community on the island and is in favor of sacrificing them to save the other people outside the island. Michael meets the protocol and asks them to get rid of the fertilizer under the ground. However, the protocol eliminates him by forcibly inserting the fertilizer into his mouth. In the next scene, Dan and Andre arrive at the water plant and discover that the infected people are attracted to water when Pat rushes towards the water. As Dan attempts to get her out, a zombified man tries to attack him. But then it's revealed that the infected people don't attack each other, and so the disinfected ones can take the advantage by shielding themselves from a zombified person. While Andre is chased by a zombified man, Dan accidentally breaks Pat's arm off in an attempt to pull her out of the water. Andre eventually gets into the car, and soon, Dan, along with his daughter, escape the zombie and gets back to the car. Andre observes grass growing on the broken arm. Dan immediately realizes that the outbreak is caused by the fertilizer used by the golfers to grow grass in the winter. Right after that, the protocol gets rid of the fertilizer used for growing grass. As they carry out the process, smoke covers the space around them. Meanwhile, Dan and Andre, along with Annie and zombified Pat, arrive at the golf clubhouse to find the fertilizer that caused the outbreak. As Dan looks around the clubhouse, Andre goes after Annie, who has wandered off. Dan finds that the golfers have set a bomb to explode the entire island. Soon it's revealed that Dan has been infected too. However, before he's knocked out by the symptoms of the infection, he somehow defuses the bomb. When the protocol at the back of the clubhouse learns about the diffusion of the bomb, they go inside and find Annie in the pantry, who is then infected after being given the fertilizer. The protocol attempt to infect Andre, but soon the zombified Annie bites one of the protocol's fingers. Meanwhile, infected Dan appears and attacks the other protocol. Andre rushes to the pantry where Dan follows him. However, as soon as Dan attempts to attack, he exposes himself to the sunlight. Andre then locks him up along with the daughter and goes live through the phone and informs the entire nation about the outbreak and its symptoms. He tells them that the infected ones are attracted to sunlight and water so that grass grows on their bodies. The next morning, Andre encounters an army outside the clubhouse. It's revealed that Annie becomes disinfected. Andre is shocked to find that the soldiers haven't come to save the survivors, but to eliminate the whole community on the island. Andre quickly hides. Meanwhile, Dan also becomes normal, but is soon eliminated by the soldiers. The Minister of Public Security addresses the nation and reveals that the contaminated water has been treated and the country is all safe and sound now. However, Andre is only able to get out alive because of his housemaid, Camilla, who manages to arrive on a boat to save the survivors. In the final scene, Andre disposes of Pat's broken arm into the water. That further leads to the contamination, zombifying the sea life, implying that the virus will soon spread to the people on the mainland, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching, guys.